Hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on SAP SuccessFactors Q1 Release Enhancements and Upgrades. This is part of AKT's Insight series, where AKT is an SAP Gold Partner since 2012. Before I pass the webinar to our panel today, let me first introduce AKT to those who are first-time participants. In more than 15 years, AKT has built a leading business in both HR consultancy and HR cloud implementation services for customers across Europe and in the Middle East. We have more than 120 staff members across several offices in Europe, and together we have been part of hundreds of SuccessFactors implementations, with over 500,000 employees having benefited from our solutions. Our presenters today are seasoned and certified SuccessFactors experts, and so have first-hand experience of the system challenges and opportunities being faced by customers today. They will run you through the major upgrades and enhancements across all SuccessFactors modules. So, over to you, Danny.
Thank you, Michelle. So, hello everyone. Welcome to AKT's quarterly release webinar. My name is Danny, and I'm AKT's Solution Team Leader. I'll be presenting this session together with my two colleagues, Sandy and Moti. So as we do in every quarter, we will cover the new enhancements across all modules. Let's start by handing the presentation to Sandy.
Good day, everyone, whatever time zone you happen to be in. Good morning, good afternoon. My name's Sandy. I am one of the solution leaders here at AKT, and we're going to begin with performance and goals management. The truth of the matter is that the major emphasis in this quarter's release actually had to do with GPDR, and there weren't that many functional improvements that were actually loaded onto the system in this quarter. However, what we do have is on the performance and goals side, the biggest single highlight that we'd like to bring to your attention is the fact that you can now virtually run your performance review via mobile on Android. Up until now, the mobile application has been mostly geared to iPhone or iOS, but Android has been catching up. And as you can see from the bullets on the screen, that the mobile application for Android users has now been expanded to allow people to add, edit, and delete performance goals, development goals, competencies, and also giving you access to custom elements. Now, the important thing here, of course, to remember is that even though we're saying that you can add, edit, and delete, obviously the actual form permissions are the ones that govern. Just because you're accessing the form via mobile doesn't make you Superman, but rather you're still constrained to the limitations that the actual form permissions have provided for you. If you look at this slide up here, you can get an idea of what it looks like when you're actually accessing it via mobile. If we start from the left, you can see in the first frame, you can see that we're talking about we're accessing a performance form. In the second frame down towards the bottom, you can choose what you want to do, okay, in terms of adding a new performance goal or a development goal or getting into your competencies. And then in the next frames, you can see exactly what it looks like in terms of adding a goal and getting access to the actual goal details, while you're editing it. This screen here, again, it's continuation. We talked about competencies and custom sections. Again, within the constraints of permissions that you awarded in the form itself, you can see that you can add competencies, you can you can delete competencies if you've been allowed to do that. And on the far right-hand side, you can see some examples of what custom sections might look like in terms of adding in dates, texts, etc. That's the major highlight for performance and goals. If we move on to the world of compensation management, then again, there aren't that many functional updates to report on. There are two that I do want to talk about today. The first one is an administrative function, and that is having to do with worksheet eligibility rules. If you've ever been responsible for for moving or copying a particular compensation template, then you know that from the compensation home form, when you use the save as function, that it copies over the XML or it copies over the actual template, it copies over the form template parameters, but it does not copy the eligibility rules, which means that you have to copy them, and that can be a very painstaking, and obviously anything that's that painstaking also becomes something that's error prone. So if you look at the screenshot, you'll notice that there's a new parameter that they've added that allows you to optionally copy the eligibility rules when you actually copy the plan. That should be a big help for system administrators who have to copy a plan from, let's say, year to year when they want to roll it forward, and they'll know that their eligibility rules have gone with them. The next point that I'd like to bring to your attention, this is more of a heads up. It's nothing that's going to come into play in the current quarter, but rather we're talking about a release that'll be available in Q2. There are some people who volunteered to do beta testing on the total compensation worksheet. So that, that will obviously continue. And in Q2, it'll be released to the general population. And what it does basically is it does away with the need for people to access variable pay or equity or bonuses via a separate tab on the compensation worksheet. So instead of having to jump from tab to tab, everything will be presented in one worksheet. It will resolve the issue of having to go back and forth and having to look at the summary sheet in order to see everything all tied together, all the different compensation elements. Those are the big ones as far as compensation goes. Moving on into succession planning. First thing we're talking about here is supporting multiple incumbents. And this is an important thing to remember if you look at the header there on EC MDF positions, all right? And I'm mentioning it specifically because what I'm about to say is only relevant if you've actually, in fact, invoked MDF position in Employee Central. If you have that there, then you'll know that you're allowed to have multiple incumbents on a single position. The improvement that they've done here is that they've also expanded that into succession. So if you have that on, if you have Employee Central's multiple incumbents, then when you look at the succession org chart, you'll be able to, the system will now support that as well. When you look at it, okay, the way it works, if you're running a process having to do with positions, then what you'll see is, if you look here in the center of the screen, you'll see that it comes up with the first person who's assigned to that position. And then if there are multiple assignments or assignees, then you'll see that there's plus one more, plus n, however many more people are assigned to that particular role, then that's where you'll see it. But so when you call up, if you're running a process having to do with that position, the nominations, then this is what you'll see, and you can move on to the to another person if you want to. The next enhancement that we'd like to bring to your attention is the V12 org chart and enhancements that have been applied to it. All right, and they've added certain things in here because they're getting ready. As you know, the V11 org chart is about to be, is going to be phased out later on this year, and everybody's going to be forced, whether they like it or not, onto the V12, the version 12 succession org chart. So they've reinstalled some legacy functionality. Okay, and what they've done is, for instance, you're allowed to add in a peer position or a direct report position or edit a position. Okay, that's been restored, and that's in order to get people ready for the move to the enforced move to the version 12 or the V12 succession org chart. And finally, so long as we're talking about the succession org chart, we're talking about an enhancement to the condensed view. The condensed view until now had been triggered when you had more than 16 reports. And based on popular demand, they've changed that parameter for 32. So basically anything up to 32 people, you'll be able to see the full information set having to do with the people being presented. And only when you get above 32 will the system put you into condensed mode. Moving on to platform. The first thing that I'd like to bring to your attention on the platform side is the mobile release schedule. Mobile release, as opposed to releases like the one we're having this webinar about, which are quarterly releases, mobile releases are slated to be done monthly, on a monthly basis, with the exception of January. I guess that gives people a chance to get over the Christmas, New Year break. So you can expect 11 updates on an annual basis, typically to be released around the 15th of the month. Now, as long as we're already talking about mobile, we're talking about a collection here, as you can see from the notes up on the screen, a collection of things from different modules. There's a couple of elements that we've highlighted here for you. So for instance, among the things that we've highlighted are the timesheet widget. That applies for both iPhone and Android, and that's the ability to record your time via your mobile device. The next one, Face ID, that's strictly an iPhone element, and that has to do with replacing the Touch ID for iPhone users. Performance management, we already discussed that a few minutes ago. So you've got the complete set of features. 360 management, multi-rater, again, that applies both for iPhone and Android. And the last one I'd like to bring to your attention is goal management, where the system will now give you, iPhone users at least, will give you access to update sub-goal tables. So for instance, if you're using the milestone tables or the task tables on your goal plans, and you want your employees to be able to report, let's say, stages of completion for milestones, it will probably be a big help for them to be able to use the mobile app to go in and access the subtable on the goal in order to say, yes, this was done, and add whatever comments they have to add to, and that'll get incorporated into the system, obviously. Moving on, we're talking about the Extension Center. The Extension Center basically offers you a new and improved method of exporting. Now, this too is a heads up because this is going to be rolled out in Q2. And the reason they're providing this heads up is because, first of all, it's an opt-in. It's not something that's going to be forced on the system. It's something that will be available. It'll be available beginning from Q2, which means sometime around May, all things being equal. And because we're giving you this heads up, because the new configuration requires some adaptation on the part of the clients. If you, after this presentation, if you go to the handout notes, then you see there's a link there to a specific note talking about the configuration changes that will be required in order to avail yourselves of this particular functionality. So like I said, this is a heads up. It'll become available to you in Q2, and you can start getting ready as we speak. Well, not right now, only after we finish the presentation. Okay, next thing we're talking about here is the check tool. The check tool is a function that's been expanded. It's been available right now for parts of Employee Central, and it's now being expanded for more items in the system. And what it is, it's an engine that allows you to check the integrity of the configuration and of the data that's in the system. And it's being expanded to introducing checks for form-based information as well. So for instance, if you wanted to check the consistency of a performance form or of a compensation form, then you'll be able to use this new tool with the expanded functionality that will become available when the release is rolled out. Additionally, we're talking about the Integration Center and the introduction of a new CSV format. The new CSV format, they're referring to it as True CSV. If you notice here on the right-hand side of the screen, True CSV means that there's a way of masking certain control characters in your CSV file. And the reason you need to do that would be, a typical case in point would be something like an address. If someone's address is 123 Main Street, apartment 5, until now, if you tried to import something like that, the system would read the comma and would jump to the next field. And that would destroy the integrity of your upload, and it does all sorts of nasty things to your data. Using True CSV, you can cover those control characters like the comma or various other double quotes, etc. Everything gets put inside double quotes, and then you maintain the integrity of your data, and basically helps control things when you're doing your upload. And finally, and this will bring my presentation to an end, we're talking about enhancement. This again is an aid to the administrators. It's nothing to do with the standard users of the system, but for administrators, if you're trying to do an instance sync where you copy a configuration between instances from your test environment to your production environment, then they've cleaned up the instance sync by grouping artifacts and by alphabetically ordering them. And it's a problem that people run into. If you've been running the system for several cycles, you'll find that things start to pile up. You have multiple goal plans and you have to select from. You may have multiple competencies that you may have to select from. So you've got different ways of grouping them. You can group them alphabetically. You'll be able to group them by creation date, etc. And it just makes things much easier for when you're trying to select the particular elements that you want to sync. That brings me to the end of my section of the presentation. With that, I wish you all a good day, and I'll call Moti over to take the stand.
Hi, everyone. My name is Moti, and I'm a solution lead in AKT. Let's start with Employee Central Q1 release highlights. First off, for this quarter, the first feature I want to show you improves the usability of the global info section, which provides the country-specific fields. Up to now, the configuration for a custom field in global info was universal, meaning it determined the field's appearance and behavior for both employees and dependents. However, you may not always want this. So now, with this release, you are able to set up an independent data model per your organization and legal requirements. This enhancement on contingent worker data model is a similar enhancement, which also is intended to support your company's business and legal requirements. You can now configure fields in additional portlets of contingent worker, like employment info or address info portlets. Once you decide to add a portlet for a contingent worker, you can remove fields which are included for employees but are irrelevant for contingent workers. So let's talk about more. Let's talk more about check tool, which Sandy mentioned before. For those of you who are new to the check tool, you are encouraged to get yourself familiarized because it provides a built-in sanity tests on configuration and data in several areas which you have implemented. This is ideal for ensuring quality of your data and configuration. In every release, SuccessFactors provides more and more built-in tests which you can select and run at any time. With this release, you can now check your position management settings configuration to make sure nothing is missing and to make sure you are aligned with the most up-to-date configuration recommendations. With this next enhancement, you can create alerts and reminders for any type of data you need. Let me share with you an example. You have created a custom section which manages employees' equipment with the expected equipment return date. Now you can also set up a reminder for the line manager, the IT department, and for the employee for when he's supposed to return his equipment. So that's another very useful enhancement. The last enhancement in Employee Central I want to tell you about is the improvements to the improvement of the usability of the workflow approval page, as you can see here in the slide. Until now, you needed to decide to which page, the employee profile of the employee or the workflow approval page, which is this one. From now on, you can access employee's profile from within the workflow approval page in here, as you can see here in the link. This allows users to understand the full picture of the employee's recently approved data change. Let's move on to Learning Management System and SAP Jam. Starting off with learning, SuccessFactors continues to develop the new course home in preview release mode only, which means that for now it is not available in production environments. In the previous release, the course home for online courses was introduced with a much enhanced visual look and user experience for launching online courses. In this release, course registration to schedule courses is added to Course Home. It is a complete redesign of how users register to instructor-led courses. With this, you can reduce the number of clicks it takes to register, prioritize course information that users need most, ensure people are indeed registered, and eliminate those dead-end flows that happened before. With Course Home, users can see upcoming courses in their region from the course page, or click the Find Class button to go to the Scheduled Offering search page, making identifying relevant courses much easier for the user. And in the Scheduled Offering search page, a user can see the upcoming course openings with indication of the number of available seats. If classes are nearly full, if there are schedule conflicts, and additional details like dates, location, and course instructor. In the class or scheduled offering page, you can even see the full agenda of the course sessions, which reflect the scheduled offering segments. These are just some of the Course Home registration enhancements, which a number of our customers have been asking for and are quickly implementing this for their users in their learning programs. So I encourage you to enable it in your preview environment and experiment with it. Before I move on to Jam, let me show you a few LMS mobile enhancements introduced in this release. The most notable is the addition of a mobile-enabled filter for the mobile course catalog and for the My Assignment page. This enables mobile users to filter out non-mobile enabled content, which will make it easier for them to locate and complete mobile-enabled content only. In the My Assignment page, this filter is enabled by default and allows mobile users to launch only mobile-enabled flagged content, evaluation surveys, and observation tasks checklist. This will make learning on mobile much more attractive to users. Okay, so let's move on to SAP Jam, which many customers are using it as a complement to LMS. First off, Jam Analytics is now easier with 2 new leaderboards for company and area admins that help you measure the ROI for intranet content and to monitor employees' interaction patterns. As you see here, these two leaderboards are 10 most engaged items and 10 most engaged members. Engagement, by the way, is calculated based on a user's views, likes, comments, and edits. Another upgrade, which many of our customers have been asking for, is a separate and dedicated JAM homepage for external users. This homepage is also designed by the homepage designer, which allows for a variety of widget types and layouts. The homepage for external users will have its own content folders as well as branding. This should now provide a welcoming landing area for customers and partners with a clear separation between internal and external users. So previously, the only way to expose users to a private group was by inviting them to join it. Now it is possible for group admins to allow other users to search and request to join their private groups. This promotes group visibility and engagement and minimizes the creation of duplicate groups due to being able to search for them before creating new ones. Next up, document and image viewing on JAM Mobile is now more user-friendly and quick. By adding some mobile features, you can now swipe to change page, tap for full screen, and jump directly to any page of a document. And for those designing their JAM instance and users who are using the media upload features, you can now control the size and quality of uploaded images and videos. The media is automatically resized on any device. You can now upload content under less than optimal network conditions with lower data usage costs and know what the file size estimate. At AKT, we're already using this and finding that more and more of our staff are using JAM because they can easily upload photos and videos, which is their preferred communication and engagement method. Now let's talk about recruiting management system improvements so that you can better attract the best talent to your company. From now, admins can assign rules to requisition templates and offer approval templates. At the moment, we can have rules only on requisition and offers. You previously needed to reach out to partners to be able to assign rules to their templates. Now they can do it themselves via the self-service admin feature. Please note also, though, that in order to have this option enabled, you need to give permissions to the relevant role. Another feature is the ability for a user to view the list of sourcing agencies by country to select appropriate agency to source selected requisition. When there are too many agencies available, it was difficult to find the right one to select. By associating countries to agencies, users are able to filter by country so they can quickly select the right agency. Our non-technical users will find it easier now to create headers in Career Site Builder that mirrors their brand and organization. In addition to colors, logos, and menu items, you can now move and brand all header components to meet your company's branding and marketing style. This is fantastic for promoting your brand to potential candidates as opposed to generic landing site as was before. So previously, customers had to navigate through market jobs to post job with recruiting posting. To post and manage job requisition externally, users can now access recruiting posting from within the job requisition view in recruiting management, which speed up posting time because recruiting users will be automatically authenticated and most of the needed job details will be auto-populated for them. Next up is direct access to recruiting posting settings from the admin center. Many of our customers requested support to manage their posting profiles and manage their job boards. These features are now enabled in a self-service for the customers. All this, this is not to forget, this is on beta and not released for all, so please note to that. That is quarters upgrading to making talent acquisition for customers easier and positioning them better to attract the best candidates. Well, that's the end of my session. Thank you very much and have a nice day.